Okay, so moving to our second to last topic, hope things are going well so far, is a really fascinating one. It's one that we Wpromote went through over the last handful of months as we went through the process of redesigning and relaunching Wpromote.com. And what this really is the battle of what's good for SEO when it comes to content structure of a website versus what's good for the direct marketing appeal, right? So SEO, it's all about depth of content and having lots of pages and lots of authority. And on the flip side, from a sales perspective, I want people to purchase a product, pick up the phone, fill out a form. So how do we have a happy middle ground where I can still have that tap into the power of SEO, but without sacrificing the direct response effectiveness on the sales side? And so we'll actually use some examples from our site and some from other sites. So, example here, yeah, this page is great for SEO, just filled with information. Unfortunately, it's got to be pretty horrific for getting people to actually, accomplish a task. And on the other side here, we see a page. It's very clear. You have a call to action with check it out. You have a big headline, but there's not a lot of text on this page, right? So this is not a page that is going to be rewarded by on the SEO standpoint, but it may be very effective on the direct response standpoint. So we're going to talk about how you bridge the gap between these two sort of extreme examples. So one thing you can do, and this is an easy one, implement a blog on your site. So we have our blog at wpromote.com/blog, and it's adding a lot of authority and content to the overall domain of the site, but it's not doing that at the expense of individual landing pages where we have specific goals in mind, fill out a form and so forth. The best practices, you want to try to, if you can, create a new blog post every day. Use 300 plus words per post, and try to, in every blog post, or at least in many blog posts, include keywords that are relevant that you want to rank for, and that'll really help you when it comes to blogging and SEO. Second thing you can do is an interesting technique called an expandable text box. So you can see here our homepage, and if you scroll down to the bottom, you see this area that has this expandable or accordion text box that when you click on one of these categories, it opens up and it has this big, deep content. This really is content for the sake of Google, content for the sake of SEO. It's relevant and it's accurate, but it's really designed to sort of, to a certain extent, hide on the page. Now, you're not really tricking Google in this case. I mean, they see that it's lower down on the page. This is, there's no trickery going on, but it really is adding some meat, and you're telling Google more about, what this page is all about. You'll find I use Google as sort of the example for SEO. I mean, it's what everyone's most concerned about. Although I think it's important to note that every single one of the benefits and strategies that is going to apply to Google is going to have carryover effect to Yahoo and Bing, and Yahoo now powered by Bing. So again, I think the point isn't to ignore those other two, but if you perform well in Google, you're going to see that very much a high performance on the other side. Okay, best practices on if you use these sort of expandable boxes. Again, use 300 plus words. Use primary keywords as the tab titles, and make sure to have a keyword every 100 words. These aren't set in stone, but they're just good sort of best practices to employ. Okay, and another way to get this is all about getting content on the site that is not going to confuse or scare off those precious users, but is going to be rewarded by Google in terms of SEO. So another way to do it, have a resources section. You can have an FAQs, an industry glossary. I think we do all of those on our site. And the best practices here is you want to divide across many pages. So if you do FAQs, and if you have 100 of them, don't have one page with 100 FAQs. Have 100 FAQs one FAQ on 100 different pages. And do include that in your footer of your site. The point isn't to really truly hide it away from everyone. And finally, if you have the ability to do so, user-generated content is fantastic. So forums, places where people can post pictures and whatnot. In this case, if you can get your clients, your customers, or your fans doing the work for you. They're creating content, and then they're even linking to it for you afterwards. So fabulous way to really have an SEO benefit. And again, you can put this on a special part of your site that's dedicated towards the user-generated content forms. So again, yeah, you want to place on a dedicated area of the site. You can even incentivize power users. You can give them badges. You can reward them, give them moderation ability. We even have like our sales team, as they get asked questions, they're helping growing our FAQ section of our website. Another thing you can do that's really interesting, and I think a lot of people don't do, is you can create basically autonomous landing pages specifically for the paid advertising, PPC, other media buys, that is a part of your site, but actually is a different experience. So I'll give you a really easy example here. We have our quick list section of our website, which is one of our sort of entry-level small business services. So if you look up at that at the top-level navigation, you can see that you have a different top-level navigation. This version here, we say why us, our clients, partners. This is what you would see if you come through the front door of the site, and it gives you the ability to nav through the entire site. And we really like our site, and that's important. But if we just paid money to drive you in to a specific service, I really don't want you getting distracted. I don't really want you exploring other services. I really just want you to purchase. So if you look at the top nav on this version, that's sort of this autonomous version, it only has the navigation that are within the quick list service. So what you're going to see here is basically the inability for people to leave this section of the site, because really I only want them to do one thing. I want them to hit the get started button and order this service. I don't want them to get distracted. So creating this autonomous areas that sort of are somewhat mirror images of the front door versions of your pages, but they're specifically geared towards converting, maximizing the conversions of users that are coming in through specifically PPC. Best practices here: keep it consistent with your website's design. This isn't a mandatory, but it is a little bit disconcerting to come back to a site and it feels like you're on a very different site. And again, you don't have to make it just one autonomous page. That in the example we used, it had the 4 or 5 pages within the quick list service that you could navigate around to.